Have you ever noticed how people react when you walk into a room? Maybe they lower their voices, hesitate before speaking, or seem unusually cautious around you. It's not because you're rude, aggressive, or intentionally intimidating. In fact, you might be doing nothing at all, yet your presence alone is enough to make others tread carefully. This isn't about fear in the traditional sense. It's about power, the quiet, unshakable kind that unsettles people who aren't used to strength. True presence isn't loud, nor does it demand attention. It simply exists, commanding respect without asking for it. And whether you realize it or not, your demeanor, the way you think, act, and move through life, could be setting you apart in ways that leave others feeling both inspired and uneasy. But what exactly makes a person intimidating? What are the hidden signs that you exude an aura of confidence and resilience that some find overwhelming? Stay with me as we break down 10 warning signs that reveal whether you possess a presence so powerful that it challenges and sometimes even scares those around you. 1. You do not seek validation from others. You walk into a room not searching for approval, not scanning faces for reassurance. You are there because you choose to be, because you belong. While others seek validation through compliments, likes, or recognition, you remain unmoved by the opinions that shift like the wind. You don't need to be told you're doing well to know you are. Your confidence isn't borrowed, it is built from within, and that is what sets you apart. From a young age, we are conditioned to seek approval. A pat on the back from a teacher, a proud nod from a parent, applause from an audience. These moments become proof of our worth. But over time, we either remain trapped in this cycle or we break free. Those who rely on external validation will always be at the mercy of others. Their self-esteem rises and falls with every comment, every judgment, every moment of approval or rejection. But you, on the other hand, have detached yourself from that fragile system. Your self-worth does not fluctuate with public opinion. You move with conviction, knowing that what matters is not whether others approve, but whether your actions align with your values. Marcus Aurelius captured this idea perfectly. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own. Meditations 12.4. This paradox defines most people. They shape their lives according to how they are perceived rather than according to what they truly believe. But when you stop living for applause, you start living for something greater, freedom. You become unaffected by flattery, criticism, or the subtle pressures of social expectation. No one can manipulate you with praise, and no one can break you with disapproval. This level of self-sufficiency often makes people uneasy. If you don't need their validation, what role do they play in your life? Your quiet independence forces them to question their own insecurities, their own dependence on external affirmation. Most people need others to reflect their worth back to them. But you are a mirror unto yourself, and that makes you an enigma. Think of Eleanor, a senior executive in a competitive industry. She doesn't seek out recognition, nor does she chase approval. She listens, but she does not waver. She evaluates, but she does not let public opinion dictate her choices. Some admire her, others fear her, but all respect her. Why? Because she is not waiting for permission to succeed. She moves with quiet authority, and the world adjusts to her presence, not the other way around. To cultivate this trait, begin by turning inward. At the end of each day, ask yourself, did I act according to my principles? If the answer is yes, external validation is irrelevant. Accept praise with gratitude, but do not crave it. Acknowledge criticism, but do not be ruled by it. Let your compass be internal, not external. True confidence is not about arrogance or detachment. It is about knowing that your worth is not up for debate. When you stop seeking validation, you step into a power few understand. You become immune to the opinions that control others. You no longer waver, no longer adjust yourself to fit into someone else's narrative. And while this may unsettle some, it is also what makes you formidable. If all validation disappeared tomorrow, would you still trust yourself? 2. You are not easily manipulated by others. There's a reason why some people find you intimidating. It's not because you're aggressive or confrontational, it's because you cannot be controlled. In a world where so many operate on social pressure, guilt, and emotional influence, you stand apart as someone who is unshakable. You listen, but you don't obey blindly. You observe, but you don't conform mindlessly. You make decisions based on reason, not coercion. And for those who thrive on controlling others, this makes you a problem they can't solve. Most people don't even realize they are being manipulated. It's subtle. A well-placed compliment that steers them in a certain direction. A guilt-laden sigh that makes them feel obligated to act. A carefully crafted narrative that influences their choices without them even questioning why. But you see through it. You recognize when words are being used not to inform, but to persuade. You understand when emotions are being weaponized to create compliance. You are not cold or unfeeling. You simply refuse to be a puppet in someone else's play. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, warned against giving away our control. If a person gave away your body to some passerby, you'd be furious. Yet you hand over your mind to anyone who insults you, leaving it disturbed and troubled. Do you have no shame in that? Discourses 2.8. This is the essence of why you are different. You do not let people pull you into their emotional games. You do not allow their words to dictate your actions. You own your mind, and because of that, no one else can. This trait unsettles people because it removes their power over you. They cannot guilt-trip you into doing something that goes against your values. They cannot flatter you into making choices that do not serve you. They cannot pressure you into conformity because you question everything before you accept it. And for those who rely on manipulation, this is frustrating. They realize their usual tactics, the ones that work on everyone else, fail when used on you. Think of Daniel, a successful entrepreneur who has built his career on his own terms. Every day he encounters people trying to influence him, partners who want him to take unnecessary risks, colleagues who attempt to sway him through emotional appeals, competitors who use subtle intimidation to make him second-guess himself. But Daniel remains steady. He listens, but he does not react impulsively. He evaluates, but he does not cave under pressure. When others attempt to manipulate him, they are met with a calm, immovable force, one that does not fight back, but simply refuses to be swayed. If you want to cultivate this trait, you must become a master of your own thoughts. The moment you feel pressure, ask yourself, why do they want me to think this way? When someone tries to make you feel guilty, step back and ask, is this genuine or are they trying to control me? Never allow flattery or shame to dictate your path. Make your choices based on reason, never coercion. The greatest strength you can develop is emotional autonomy, the ability to stay grounded even when others try to shake you, the power to listen without absorbing, the discipline to think independently, no matter what the crowd says. When you master this, you become untouchable, not because you resist control, but because it never even reaches you. So the real question is, can you recognize when someone is trying to manipulate you? And more importantly, can you resist it? 3. You control your emotions and do not react easily. Picture this. Someone raises their voice at you in a meeting. The tension in the room thickens and all eyes are on you, expecting a reaction. Most people would snap back, raise their defenses, or let their emotions dictate their response. But not you. You remain composed, unshaken, observing rather than reacting. While others are quick to anger, to defend, to fight, you choose control. And that control is what makes you powerful. In a world where people are easily provoked, those who master their emotions stand apart. Many assume that being emotional means being alive, being engaged, being passionate. But in reality, emotions are a tool, not a master. The moment you allow them to control you, you become predictable, vulnerable, and easy to manipulate. But when you control them, you become someone others cannot shake, someone who exudes strength without saying a word. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, understood this deeply. A raging storm throws men overboard, so does sudden rage. No one willingly exposes himself to a hurricane, but anger is just as dangerous. On anger, 3.1. Losing control, even for a moment, is like surrendering the steering wheel of your life. One rash decision, one emotional outburst, and you may find yourself regretting words spoken in the heat of the moment, or worse, playing into the hands of those who seek to manipulate you. When people realize they cannot provoke you, they find you unsettling. They are used to seeing others flinch, react, and lose composure under pressure. But you refuse to be baited. You listen to insults without firing back. You acknowledge disagreements without turning them into conflicts. You let others lose control while you remain centered. And this frustrates those who thrive on drama, who need emotional reactions to feel powerful. Think of Olivia, a crisis negotiator who deals with high-stress situations daily. Her job is to talk people down from panic, to defuse dangerous conflicts with words alone. She doesn't have the luxury of reacting emotionally. She must remain calm, even when people scream at her, even when the stakes are high. When others let fear or anger cloud their thinking, she stays sharp. It is her ability to remain steady under pressure that makes her not just respected, but also intimidating. People know that no matter how much chaos surrounds her, she will not be moved. To develop this trait, you must train yourself to pause before reacting. The next time someone insults you, challenges you, or tries to provoke you, take a deep breath before responding. Ask yourself, does this situation deserve my energy? Most of the time it doesn't. Choose clarity over impulse, strategy over emotion. When you feel anger rising, remind yourself that losing control serves no one but those who wish to see you fail. True power is not about aggression, nor is it about passivity. It is about the ability to stay collected in a storm, to face challenges with a steady hand, and to act only when necessary, never out of impulse. The world belongs to those who can master themselves. And if you can control your emotions, you control your destiny. Now the question is, the next time someone tries to provoke you, will you react or will you remain untouchable? Nanga, you stand firm in your principles. Imagine standing in a room where everyone nods in agreement, following the flow of conversation without question. They change opinions as quickly as the wind shifts, bending to social pressure, afraid to stand alone. But then there's you. You don't just follow, you don't just agree, you hold your ground. While others waver to fit in, you remain unwavering in your convictions, and that makes people uncomfortable. Most people shape their beliefs based on what's convenient, acceptable, or expected. They seek validation, not truth. They shift opinions to avoid conflict, choosing comfort over conviction. But you value something far greater than approval: integrity. You know that principles are not something to be adjusted depending on the room you're in. They are the foundation upon which your character is built. You do not compromise your core beliefs for acceptance. You do not change your stance just to make others comfortable. And for those who lack conviction themselves, This is both admirable and intimidating. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, understood this deeply. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Meditations, 10th.16. To live by principles is not to talk about them, but to embody them consistently, unapologetically, and without fear of judgment. This is why people with strong values stand apart. They do not just speak of honor, discipline, and integrity, they live them. This quality unsettles those who lack firm convictions. When people see someone who refuses to compromise, they are forced to confront their own lack of backbone. Your unwavering stance shines a light on their inconsistencies. They may criticize you, challenge you, or even try to make you feel unreasonable for standing firm. But in reality, their discomfort has nothing to do with you. It is a reflection of their own internal conflict. Think of Adrian, a defense attorney known for his unshakable moral code. He has turned down high-paying cases because they conflicted with his values. He refuses to manipulate facts or distort the truth to win. While some admire his integrity, others resent it. Why? Because his presence reminds them of their own compromises. When someone refuses to take shortcuts, it highlights those who do. When someone refuses to lie, it exposes those who do. Adrian doesn't need to point fingers. His mere existence as a person of principle challenges others to do better. If you want to cultivate this trait, start by identifying 3 principles you will never compromise on. Write them down. Reflect on them. These should be the foundation upon which your actions are built. Then, practice consistency. No matter the situation, no matter the pressure, hold your ground. When others try to persuade you to bend your values for convenience, remind yourself, my integrity is not for sale. Living by principles is not about being inflexible or stubborn. It is about knowing where you stand and refusing to betray yourself for the sake of approval. The world respects those who are consistent in their values. But more importantly, when you remain true to your principles, you respect yourself. So, what are the 3 principles you refuse to compromise on? Think carefully, because once you define them, you will no longer be easily swayed. And that is what makes you truly powerful. Einde. You rely on logic, not the crowd. Most people don't think, they react. They hear a popular opinion and adopt it as their own. They follow trends without question. They agree with the loudest voices, not because they've reasoned it through, but because it's easier than standing alone. But you are different. You pause. You analyze. You do not let emotions, social pressure, or the fear of isolation dictate your choices. Instead, you let logic guide you. In a world that moves at breakneck speed, where decisions are made in the heat of the moment, the ability to slow down and think critically is rare. Many people act impulsively, swept up in the emotions of the crowd, afraid of standing out. But you are immune to the herd mentality. You understand that just because something is widely accepted doesn't make it right. Just because many believe something doesn't make it true. Epictetus, the great Stoic thinker, offered a timeless reminder. The chief task in life is simply this: to separate and distinguish between what is under my control and what is not. Discourses 2.5. The crowd chases things beyond their control: approval, fleeting opinions, the illusion of certainty. But the wise? They focus on what they alone govern, their own reasoning, their own choices. This makes you unsettling to others. Most people find comfort in agreement. They feel safe when everyone else is moving in the same direction. But when you don't automatically conform, it forces them to question their own decisions. If you're not following along, does that mean they're wrong? Instead of being reassured by numbers, they feel exposed in their assumptions. Take Hannah, for example, a young woman who refuses to make life decisions based on what society expects of her. While her friends pursue careers they don't love simply because they seem stable, she takes a different path, one that aligns with her true passions. When questioned about it, she doesn't waver. She doesn't feel the need to justify herself. She simply trusts that her choices are her own, and that is enough. Years later, while others feel trapped in the life they were pressured into, Hannah thrives because she built hers on reason, not expectation. If you want to strengthen this trait, start by questioning everything. The next time you feel pressured to make a choice, ask yourself, if no one else were watching, would I still do this? When you read an opinion that stirs emotion, pause. Is it true, or is it persuasive? Most people never ask these questions, which is why they are easily influenced. But the few who do, they live with clarity, with independence, and with a strength that does not bend to social winds. Being led by reason rather than emotion is not about being contrarian or indifferent. It is about knowing that your mind is your own. No one else has the right to control your thoughts. No trend, no majority, no fleeting consensus should ever replace your own judgment. So, when the next wave of public opinion crashes over the world, will you be swept away, or will you stand firm, unshaken, thinking for yourself? 6. You possess deep knowledge but never show off. Some people speak just to be heard. They throw around complex words, quote obscure books, and make sure everyone in the room knows how much they know. But not you. You don't need to prove your intelligence. It speaks for itself, not through arrogance, but through quiet confidence. While others seek validation through their knowledge, you simply embody it. True wisdom is never loud. It does not demand attention. It does not seek admiration. It commands respect without asking for it. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful and wise leaders in history, understood this deeply. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Meditations, 10th.16. The same applies to intelligence. Don't argue about how much you know. Let your actions reflect it. Most people equate intelligence with speaking more, debating more, showing off more. But you understand that knowledge is not about dominating conversations, it's about guiding them. When you speak, you do so with purpose. When you share knowledge, it is because it adds value, not because it feeds your ego. This is what makes you different. This restraint unsettles people who feel the need to prove themselves. When someone flaunts their intelligence, it is often because they are insecure about it. But when you hold back, when you listen more than you speak, it creates an air of quiet authority. Others sense your depth without you ever needing to announce it. This is why some find you intimidating. You make them question whether their knowledge is truly as strong as they believe. Consider Daniel, a professor known for his profound understanding of philosophy and history. His students admire him, not because he boasts about his intelligence, but because he knows exactly when to speak and when to let others think for themselves. He asks questions rather than forces answers. He does not interrupt to assert dominance. He does not flaunt his expertise unnecessarily, and because of this, his words carry far more weight than those who speak just to be heard. If you want to cultivate this trait, practice restraint. The next time you are in a conversation and feel the urge to prove a point, pause. Ask yourself, am I saying this to add value or to be admired? Let others share their thoughts first. Listen deeply before responding. Choose your words with precision so that when you do speak, your message lands with power. Knowledge, when used correctly, is a weapon, not to attack, but to defend, to guide, and to strengthen. The strongest minds do not need to convince others of their intelligence. They let their wisdom speak through their actions, their decisions, and their presence. So, the next time someone tries to impress a room with their knowledge, will you compete for attention, or will you let your quiet mastery speak for itself? 7. Sharp, critical thinking makes others feel challenged. Some people accept things as they are. They hear a statement and take it at face value. They conform to conventional wisdom without questioning its foundations. But not you. You don't just accept, you analyze, you challenge, you examine every idea through the lens of logic and reason, refusing to be swayed by emotion, popular opinion, or vague assumptions. This sharp, critical thinking makes you a formidable presence. You don't ask questions to provoke, you ask because you refuse to be misled. You don't reject ideas out of arrogance, you scrutinize them because truth is too valuable to be taken lightly. Yet this very trait makes many uncomfortable. They are used to passive conversations, to nodding along, to speaking without being questioned. But when they encounter you, they are forced to think deeper. And for those who prefer easy answers, that is unsettling. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, once wrote, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know anything about the subject." Meditations 6.53. Truth does not become real just because many believe it. Reality does not bend to consensus. You understand this at your core, which is why you do not let tradition, groupthink, or authority dictate your beliefs. Instead, you filter everything through the lens of logic. This is why people find you difficult to persuade. While most are swayed by emotional appeals, social pressure, or forceful rhetoric, you remain grounded in facts. You dismantle arguments piece by piece, not to dominate, but to seek clarity. This ability can make others feel exposed, especially those who rely on surface-level reasoning or blind faith in authority. They may interpret your questions as attacks, when in reality they are invitations to think critically. Consider Eleanor, a respected legal strategist. In every meeting she listens attentively, never interrupting unnecessarily. But when she speaks, her words cut through ambiguity like a blade. If a proposal is flawed, she does not let it slide. She asks sharp, precise questions, forcing her colleagues to clarify, to defend, to refine their logic. Some admire her for it, others resent her. Why? Because she doesn't allow weak arguments to go unchallenged. In her presence, there is no room for lazy thinking. To cultivate this trait, begin by questioning everything, even your own assumptions. When someone presents an idea, pause before accepting it. Ask yourself, is this conclusion built on solid reasoning, or is it merely persuasive? Don't seek conflict, but don't shy away from difficult discussions either. The more you refine your thinking, the more you sharpen your mind against the dull edges of half-truths and assumptions. Critical thinking is not about rejecting everything, it is about understanding fully before accepting anything. And while this makes you a challenge to those who prefer comfort over clarity, it is also what makes you powerful. So, the question is, when was the last time you questioned something others blindly accepted? 8. The courage to face difficult conversations. Most people avoid them. They dance around uncomfortable truths, sugarcoat words, or remain silent when they should speak up. Difficult conversations feel like stepping onto thin ice. One wrong move, and everything cracks beneath you. But you step forward anyway. You do not shy away from discomfort. You embrace the tension, knowing that truth is more important than temporary ease. This ability separates you. While others retreat in the face of confrontation, you hold your ground. You speak directly, not to attack, but to clarify. You address conflicts, not to escalate, but to resolve. You don't let fear dictate your words, nor do you let emotions cloud your judgment, and that is precisely what makes you formidable. Seneca, the great Stoic thinker, understood this well. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Letters to Lucilius 13.4. Most people build up difficult conversations in their minds, picturing worst-case scenarios. They assume conflict means destruction, that truth will sever ties. But in reality, avoidance breeds far greater problems than honesty ever could. Misunderstandings deepen, resentment festers, and instead of resolving an issue, they let it grow into something far worse. You, however, understand that silence is not always peace, that unspoken truths can be more destructive than harsh words. So, you face the conversation head-on. Take Nathan, for example. As a senior manager, he once had to confront a longtime colleague about unethical behavior. Many advised him to let it go, to avoid conflict. It's not worth it, they warned. But Nathan refused to let fear silence him. He prepared, he stayed calm, and when the moment came, he spoke with clarity and firmness, ensuring the issue was addressed without unnecessary hostility. The result? A problem that could have spiraled into disaster was resolved through one courageous conversation. Not everyone will be comfortable with this. Some will see your directness as intimidating, your willingness to confront as aggression, but those who value truth will respect you for it. Because in the end, people may dislike what you say, but they will trust that you say what you mean. To develop this trait, start by shifting your mindset. Difficult conversations are not battles, they are bridges. The next time you feel tension rising, remind yourself, stay calm. Emotion clouds logic, control your tone, and others will mirror your composure. Stay focused. Don't attack the person. Address the issue. Seek resolution, not dominance. Stay honest. Speak with integrity, even when it's uncomfortable. Truth, delivered with wisdom, builds stronger relationships, not weaker ones. Courage is not just about facing external threats. Sometimes it is about facing another person with honesty, clarity, and strength, even when it would be easier to stay silent. So ask yourself, what conversation have you been avoiding, and when will you finally face it? 9. You always have a plan and clear goals. Most people drift through life. They wake up, go to work, scroll through distractions, and repeat the cycle, hoping that somehow life will hand them purpose. They move without direction, making decisions based on convenience rather than conviction. But you are different. You don't wait for life to shape you. You shape it. You know what you want, and you move toward it with quiet, unstoppable force. This clarity of purpose is rare, and for those who lack it, it can be unsettling. When you walk into a room, you carry yourself with certainty. You don't waste energy on trivialities, nor do you allow distractions to dictate your time. You operate with intention, choosing each action based on how it serves your greater vision. And whether people admire or resent you, one thing is certain, they notice. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, lived by a guiding principle. A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions. Meditations 7.3. A person without goals is like a ship without a rudder, tossed by every wave, moved by every current, but never in control of its own direction. You, however, own your course. While others hesitate, you decide. While they make excuses, you execute. This decisiveness makes many uncomfortable, not because you are against them, but because your discipline highlights their own lack of direction. Consider Evelyn, a young entrepreneur who built her career from nothing, while her peers spent their weekends partying, waiting for the right time to take their lives seriously. She was laying the foundation for her future. They laughed at her focus. They dismissed her commitment. Years later, when she had built a successful business, the same people who mocked her now looked at her with a mix of admiration and discomfort. Not because she had changed, but because she had proven them wrong. This is the cost of having a plan. Some will be inspired, others will feel exposed. Your presence will remind them of the potential they've wasted, the time they've let slip away. And while you may never say a word about it, the reality is clear. Your drive forces them to confront their own lack of discipline. To cultivate this power, start by writing down 3 goals. Not vague desires, but concrete, measurable objectives. Then, commit to taking action on them every single day. Not just when it's convenient, not just when you feel like it, but every day. Because a life without direction is a life wasted, and while many will be content wandering, you will move forward with purpose, with intention, with a vision so clear that nothing can shake it. So ask yourself, are you drifting or are you driving? 10. You are not afraid of criticism or judgment. Most people spend their lives walking on eggshells, carefully curating their words, actions, and even thoughts to avoid criticism. They mold themselves to fit expectations, fearing disapproval more than failure. But not you. You do not let opinions dictate your path. You are not waiting for permission to be who you are. You move forward, unshaken, because you understand a simple truth. Judgment is inevitable, but control over your mind is yours alone. This unshakable mindset makes others uneasy. People expect hesitation, self-doubt, an eagerness to conform. But when they meet someone who refuses to be controlled by external validation, they don't know how to react. They may call you arrogant, stubborn, or even reckless, not because you are wrong, but because you are free. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, understood this deeply. If you are distressed by anything external, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it. And this you have the power to change at any moment. Meditations 8.47. A crowd can mock you, but their words hold no power unless you allow them to. A critic can insult you, but their opinion only matters if you choose to value it. The Stoics understood that most criticism comes not from truth, but from projection. People attack what they do not understand, what they envy, or what they fear in themselves. This is why you do not waste time trying to please everyone. You recognize that no matter what you do, someone will disapprove. If you succeed, they will say you were lucky. If you fail, they will say they saw it coming. If you stay silent, they will call you weak. If you speak up, they will call you arrogant. The cycle never ends. Consider Victor, an independent filmmaker who refused to follow industry norms. While others tailored their work to fit trends, he stayed true to his vision, despite endless criticism. "It won't work," they told him. "You're taking too many risks." But he persisted. Years later, when his work gained global recognition, the same people who doubted him suddenly admired his boldness. Not because he changed, but because he proved them wrong. To cultivate this mindset, start by filtering criticism. When someone judges you, ask yourself, does this come from wisdom or insecurity? Is it meant to help or to control? If the criticism is constructive, use it. If it is merely noise, discard it. Never let fear of judgment stop you from doing what you believe is right. Because in the end, the only person who must live with your choices is you. So the real question is, are you living for approval, or are you living for truth? In this video, we explored 10 warning signs that your presence is more powerful than you realize. If people react to you with hesitation, if your words make them uncomfortable, if your clarity challenges their uncertainty, it is not because you are doing something wrong. It is because you embody something rare, a mind that is free, a will that is unbreakable, and a presence that does not beg for approval. The great Stoic philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca and Epictetus, left us with wisdom that transcends time. Their teachings remind us that true strength is not found in domination, but in self-mastery. They taught that a person who is unshaken by external noise, who moves with purpose and clarity, and who is not enslaved by public opinion, is a person who commands quiet respect, sometimes even fear. But now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 10 signs resonated with you the most? Have you ever noticed people reacting to you in ways you never understood before? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to support the channel. And make sure to turn on notifications so you won't miss our next video, where we dive even deeper into the powerful mindset of Stoicism. See you next time.